The air was thick with the scent of fresh paint and pine when I first noticed Evelyn Harper standing at the edge of my driveway, her arms crossed and her lips pursed like she'd just tasted sour milk. It was 6:47 a.m., and I'd only been in my new house for 3 days. She wore a crisp navy blazer, a pearl brooch pinned to her lapel, and held a leather-bound notebook that she wielded like a gavel. "Your mailbox," she declared, pointing at the weathered wooden post I hadn't yet touched, "is an eyesore and violates community standards. You have 72 hours to replace it, or you'll be fined." My dog, Scout, tilted his head from the porch, unsure whether to growl or ignore her. I stood there in a faded _actor_ t-shirt, coffee mug in hand with "Mind Your Own" scrawled across it, and blinked. I'd moved to this quiet cul-de-sac on the edge of town for solitude, not to be lectured by a stranger with a vendetta against my mailbox. The kicker? My property wasn't part of her so-called Greenwood Estates Community Alliance. I had the title papers to prove it, but I didn't say a word. Something about her righteous glare told me this was going to be more entertaining than annoying. I'd bought the house on Impulsia low-slung bungalow with a wraparound deck and a yard big enough for Scout to chase his tail. It sat just outside the subdivision's boundary, a fact I'd confirmed before signing. Freedom from HOAs was the selling point. Yet here was Evelyn, striding up on day one with a laminated booklet of Alliance guidelines, demanding I sign up for monthly fees, lawn audits, and window shutter color codes. I flipped through the pages, saw my address wasn't listed, and handed it back with a polite, "I'm good." Her eyes narrowed like I'd just declared war. By the next morning, a neon yellow notice was taped to my door, citing my non-compliant, porch light a $75 penalty. The day after, another claimed my gravel path was a safety hazard. I just swept it. On day 3, a sign appeared in my yard, "Resident in violation." I left it there, hooked up a security camera, and sipped my coffee. Let's see how far she takes this, I thought. Evelyn didn't disappoint. A week later, a letter arrived from the Greenwood Estates Oversight Committee, demanding $3,200 for breach of aesthetic covenant. It cited a clause about implied community harmony that didn't exist in my contract. My lawyer, Jenna, read it and snorted. "She's invented a bureaucracy," she said, tossing the letter aside. "Your lot's independent. She's got no ground." But Evelyn wasn't playing by rules. She started hosting alliance meetings in her garage, her posse of clipboard-wielding neighbors glaring at my house like it was a crime scene. One evening, a guy named Tom slipped me a note. "She ran the Millers out last year. Watch your back." I pulled county records and found my property was explicitly excluded from any neighborhood governance, a deal struck by the original owner. I printed the clause and taped it to my fridge. Then came the summons. Evelyn stood on my lawn with a megaphone, reading a formal citation to a handful of curious onlookers, accusing me of willful disruption of neighborhood unity. She handed me a document with a court date, her brooch glinting like a badge of honor. I nearly laughed, but nodded instead. "See you there." The courtroom was a drab county office with peeling paint. Evelyn rolled in with a briefcase and a poster board titled "Greenwood's Decline." Her lawyer, a tired man in a cheap suit, barely spoke. Jenna presented my title, a plat map, and a zoning letter proving my exemption. Evelyn ranted about civic duty until the judge interrupted. "You're finding someone for rules they're not bound by." He dismissed the case with a smirk. Evelyn's face turned beet red. As we left, she whispered, "You'll regret this." The next morning, my sprinklers were missing. Footage showed Evelyn prying them out at 3:17 a.m., her blazer swapped for a hoodie. I reported it to the city, who found it absurdly funny. Then came handwritten notes stuffed in my mailbox, scolding my unruly flower beds and chaotic energy. I filed them in a folder marked proof. Evelyn sent an invoice $4 for 50 fees for unpaid dues, legal costs, and a neighborhood beautification levy. It had a PayPal link. Jenna grinned. "She's running a scam." We sent a cease and desist to Evelyn, her committee, and the county, attaching my title and every incident. When she next appeared to measure my fence, I waved and said, "Say hi to the cops." She left without a word. Then my power flickered. The breaker box had been opened, wires loosened. Another police report. Neighbors started whispering. "Clara, who'd lived here a decade, brought brownies, and said Evelyn told everyone I'd begged to join her alliance. She showed me a flyer, The Scandal of Lot 17, with a blurry photo of me watering plants, labeled a threat to order. It had gone to every house. After the court loss, people doubted her. I hosted a barbecue to clear my name. The street showed up kids with water guns, adults with beer. Evelyn crashed it, megaphone blaring about unpermitted assemblies. I raised a burger and said, "Who's hungry?" The crowd cheered, and she fled, her car swerving. Jenna filed a lawsuit against Evelyn's fake alliance for fraud and harassment, submitting footage, flyers, and invoices. The sheriff confirmed her group wasn't registered. Evelyn countered with a Civic Harmony Coalition, passing out flyers calling me a rebel instigator. She violated a court order, earning a contempt summons. In court, she wore a velvet shawl and claimed her group was a cultural movement. The judge fined her, banned further actions, and sent her case for fraud review. The neighborhood relaxed crooked mailboxes, loud wind chimes, no fear. Evelyn pivoted to media. She went on local TV, shawl draped, claiming persecution. She started a podcast, Harmony's Last Stand, dubbing me the Lot 17 outlaw. I responded on the same channel, showing evidence and saying, "Live and let live." Neighbors rallied, leaving pies and notes. Evelyn set up a booth in the park with flyers and cookies, but no one cared. Her podcast fizzled, her signs disappeared. One day, I saw her raking leaves, no notebook, no blazer. A film crew offered to document our saga. I agreed, hoping it'd inspire others. They filmed me on my deck, Clara with her brownies, and Evelyn, who admitted she feared disorder. The documentary, The Block That Broke Free, aired to cheers. We watched, laughing, as Evelyn's light dimmed across the street. She waved once, faintly. I'd won not her war, but our peace.